Hello, everyone. I am low-key pumped about what I think might just be the best Disney Plus Marvel show so far, and we're only one episode in! It's Loki, guys. We're here to talk together about Loki. I am, of course, Sparks Whitty. I am joined by my good friend Ryan Eliopoulos.
I'm Odin, so happy to be here.
And my other good friend, Brandon T. McClure.
I don't have a Thor pun.
And Ben Magnet.
I'm so Thor of these. That did not work. Wow.
Right.
I appreciate the attempt.
You tried.
He was so focused on that, he missed my joke, which...
No. Wait, what was your joke?
I went good friend, and Ben Magnet.
I'm out.
He's the variant.
Bye, guys.
Ben, you're the variant today.
No, I'm happy to see you guys. I'm really pumped to be back for a new episode of Fake Nerds Watch. I loved this show, and I have no qualms about saying that up front.
I'll tell you right now, if this show has the trajectory of the other shows where we start really high and then maybe fizzle out towards the end, I don't care, because this
really high.
This one episode is my favorite thing that I don't know, nothing even really happens in this episode, but the way that this feels like control, and it feels like a Hideki Anno, like we're gonna bureaucratize the MCU and make Thanos seem like nothing, is so cool. And it's so big. And I don't think people realize just how big this show is just by existing already.
Yeah.
It's massive. And if the show sucks for the rest of the season, that's fine. I love this episode so much. Again, with the other first episodes, they're doing something really different, but there's just something about this one, man. The comedy really hit.
Oh my God.
Tom Hiddleston is so good. The random comedy is so much funnier than I expected. I'll stop talking now so they can talk. But I don't know if I have any negative opinions, to be honest. I loved it. I was mad it was over.
You know what? I don't think I have any negative opinions either, because this show I was into it from the get-go. It was, I mean, you start the show off right in that part of Endgame where he takes the Tesseract and boop and pieces out. But all the things I was hoping that would happen in the episode, I mean, we're going to get into it later, they did happen. I thought it was hilarious. And I was like, is this going to turn into a buddy cop show? Because I really hope it turns into a buddy cop show between Owen Wilson and Loki. Because once we got to the end, I was like, man, I'm actually really pumped for the next episode. And it's only episode 2. WandaVision, I was like, okay, I can't wait to see what's going on. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm like, all right, not bad. Let's see what they got. This one's like, give me more. I want to see what's up more.
Give me more.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandon.
I'm really excited now.
Oh boy.
Lay it out.
Let's hear it.
Lay it out.
Look.
Now, all of the criticisms are 100% valid.
No, let me say, because that was the joke. The real thing is, I liked it.
Okay.
I didn't love it. I wanted to love it. I watched it twice now, maybe to see if I could, if my opinions were maybe too high or whatever. But I like it. I liked its parts. I like what's in it. But I'm more interested in what comes after this episode than I was watching this episode as a whole.
I'm almost the opposite, because
that
I can only be let down now. You know what I mean? They set it up so high. I'm literally the opposite. If this was just it, I'd be happy, because I got what I wanted. I got God, Owen Wilson's so good in this, and you're not wrong, Brandon. It's just I got a full character arc for Loki in this first episode still, and I'm if this were a small movie, I'd be happy.
And yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing is, I don't necessarily think I have anything bad to say about the episode. Because again, I like the parts. I just don't like how the whole came together. And I'm more interested in where the show could go after this, because to me, this was a lot of setup. And while that's not a bad thing, I was more interested in the first episodes of the previous shows than I was in this one. That's not to say I'm not interested in the show at all. And this is not even a criticism. It is just how I feel.
I will say, kind of, in the vein of what you're talking about, Brandon, there is a vibe where I think it speaks to what at least Ben was saying, and maybe even a little bit to what you're saying about like they could only let you down from here, where I kind of sat there as I was watching it, and I'm like, I definitely wanted to see where this was going next. I do almost wonder if I would have rather watched a Disney Plus movie of this rather than a whole show. And considering the history so far, where both of them we've been like, these were kind of written like long movies. I wonder if that is something that will come to pass on this one, because I could definitely see where another hour of what I had here that did everything for the story and then ended would have left me very satisfied. And another 5 episodes might not. Might be too much. Might be too drawn out. That has happened so far.
That's my thinking. With how much there was set up with the timekeepers and with the Loki, who's definitely a lady Loki. Like it can like they set up so much great stuff. They can easily let me down.
I'm hopeful because like if this were the WandaVision length of a show that we were looking down, I'd be like, I don't know.
Oh, if this were half the episode, if like these were halved, oh man, like then that's a completely different story. The hour, you need this hour. It needs to be an hour long to be the full 1 hour story.
I have to say, you need this episode. Like absolutely. That's why I say I don't necessarily have anything bad to say. I think you absolutely need this episode to set up the world, because this is such a crazy different thing that we're looking down the barrel of that we've never seen before in the MCU. So you need the setup,
right?
So which is why I say, I'm not wholly negative on it. It just wasn't like something that I was like, like I was with WandaVision or Falcon Winter Soldier.
So to go back to what Sparks said about this possibly being a movie, and sorry if you hear crinkling, my roommate's cat scratching post.
Boy, none of us know what cats are like.
Yeah, I know. As one walks across. For me, the jury's still out on whether this should be a movie or a TV show.
Well, sure.
Because I do. Yeah, it's true. It is only 1 hour, and I do see what you guys are saying. Where if there was another hour and things hit and this became like a 2 or maybe a 2.25 movie, then I probably would be left extremely satisfied, provided that second half was also of the same or even higher quality. That being said, so far I still really enjoy this, and I kind of jury's still out, but I still hope to see more funny buddy. I just want to see a buddy cop movie.
I think that's exactly what this is. This is Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston as buddy cop. I don't want to say that I really like Owen Wilson's character of Mobius. I love him. I love Owen Wilson just in general, but I love him in this episode, in this show so far. One of the things I really like about it is that they're both the smartest people in the room, and watching Owen Wilson and Loki play that part very differently is so much fun, because Loki constantly needs the approval of, I am the smartest person in the room. You need to know it. Everybody needs to know it. Mobius doesn't give a shit if you know he's the smartest person in the room. And that's what gives Mobius the power, and I love it.
So
he doesn't care about the power.
I kind of want to elaborate on the stance that I gave about movie versus show concept. Obviously, it's too early to call. What I mean by this is that here's the thing. This 1 hour had something really important in it that I thought was going to be drawn out over the show. And what it is Loki learning about the original Loki's life. And having a cathartic moment related to it, and recognizing what admitting openly what he wants. I thought that was the arc of the show. That was the arc of the episode. Which is why I'm sitting here kind of like, okay. Are we drawing this out a little too long, maybe? Is this something to be worried about? This has come up with the previous shows. So if you only had another hour and a half of story here, the first chunk of this film, if it were a film, being about Loki having that arc, that catharsis, and then chasing the other Loki, doing the thing, third act, boop, the end. I'd be like, wow, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense as a Disney Plus film. This is not me condemning episodes that haven't come out yet. I am merely looking at
Just judging from what we've seen from
I am
past
merely
shows.
looking at the trend that has happened so far, and it does concern me, though I really like the episode, that they did that with Loki this fast.
That's why I'm saying I can only be possibly let down, because they've done all the character growth I thought was going to happen over the season.
Right.
That's what I'm not joking when I'm saying, like, this next episode could just be, oh, it's just Loki now, and he's just doing a thing. Like, we don't know.
Because, I'll say, like, when we heard about all the Disney Plus shows, this one was probably the bottom of my list as far as anticipation, to be honest. Because I kind of was like, what could we, like, the moment we first heard about it, I'm like, why are we following Loki from Endgame? Okay. Then we start to hear about the TVA, things like that, and I'm like, okay. And I'll tell you what really had me like, I don't know about this show. It was the DB Cooper scene in the trailer, and was something where I'm like, I don't know if I want to sign up for Loki does time ventures like that and just does time shenanigans. And it turns out that they just thought that was a funny bit too and decided to throw it, and whole other feeling about why they decided to do that, but like and market it in the trailer, because I think it's absolutely misleading about what the show actually is.
Yeah.
But there's the DB Cooper scene. They decided that's a funny gag. Let's just boop. And now it's over. There's gone.
No more context to that scene.
But I thought that's what the show was going to be, and I really kind of wasn't here for that show. Seeing what the show actually could be, I got really excited. But then they also kind of brought Loki up to speed, essentially, in this one episode, and I'm like,
so he is our Loki now. Basically.
I feel like we took away some of what made him complicated.
So the way I could see this happening is, like, they had to get Loki to this point because we're going to be dealing with other Lokis, and he's going to have to be like, no, I know why you're doing what you're doing, but like, I promise you, I've seen the Endgame. Like, I know it's not good. I know you might be.
I've seen the film Endgame. Yeah, I've
seen the film Endgame. Like Kevin Feige's at Endgame. I've seen it. I got the DVD. So I think it will be a situation where I also. Because I've read a lot of Loki comics, there's more than one Loki. There are literally like a dozen Lokis. I have a feeling that there's more than one Loki going to be in the show. Excuse me, one other variant. Like that kid might show up. Like there's like the elder Loki who's like the god of Asgard. He's like super evil. Like I got a feeling this, especially with the multiverse stuff that they're talking about. I have a feeling it's going to be Loki dealing with himself, but every other version of himself.
And I think like like one of my favorite things is. They continue to fix Thor the Dark World in retrospect, I guess, because they do this whole bit where they talk about Loki being like, you think you're sending the Dark Elves to Thor, but you sent them to your mom. Wow. And like, that's never been so bluntly put before. And I really appreciate that. And the way that Loki has to interpret that and deal with that, I thought was really good. I thought that was going to be it of the let's watch the alternate Loki show for this episode. And Loki would slowly find out more about what he became, so that it wasn't necessarily informing who he was becoming as the show was going.
Yeah.
But then we get the clip show, and I'm like,
he gets the Disney Plus subscription.
I feel like we got there too quick.
Now, may I say something? I really like this, actually. I really like him seeing his future.
Me too.
The reason why is because it does actually give him a different character development than what we saw. Yes, it does catch him up knowledge-wise to where we left him in Infinity War, dead. But it also allows Loki to see how his life did play out, how it could have played out. And the thing that I noticed the second time around is when he sees that his brother said that he's there for his brother at the end before it gets to Infinity War. And he's smiling like, oh, there's a world where Thor and I could have been okay. And that's it. I thought I may be reading too much into it, and I'm fully willing to admit that I am. But to me, that was more powerful than him seeing his death, because I was like, because I saw him be like, oh, I did it. Like my brother and I were good, and that creates a whole different character arc for him now, because he now has the knowledge that could have happened, that did happen, and now if he ever meets Thor, it could create a different dynamic, because now he's like, hey, we're good, that's not me anymore.
Yeah,
I like that.
So the clip show and Loki seeing essentially the history yet to come for him, I was actually really looking forward to see it in this episode. But if we didn't see it by the next episode, I probably would be a little upset, because yes, he saw that him and Thor were good, but also another part, one of my favorite parts of Thor Ragnarok is when Odin says, "I love you, my sons."
Oh, yeah, me too.
Because when he saw that, he was like in chains, brought before Odin. He's like, "Oh, I am gonna get the biggest dressing down of my life." But when he sees Odin saying, "I love you, my sons," and then he's like, "Oh, we reconciled, we're okay." And then eventually seeing that him and Thor are okay, and seeing that he died trying to protect what's left of Asgard, or left of Asgard. I feels like I am so glad he got to see that this part. So then he's like, "All right, let's do something."
I will say to Sparks' point though, I did also think that we'd see it later on in the series, like they were keeping it from him. Like I thought that was going to be the arc, that they were keeping his future from him, and I'm actually kind of glad that wasn't.
I don't, even if it wasn't necessarily that as the reason, like I don't mean to say that I didn't like those moments of him seeing it. I did. I do like that those things happen. My concern is more, I did think that those things should have been held back maybe for later, that he pieces it together so he has more of his own
journey,
who he is journey right now, rather than all at once it being a turn informed by what he saw of the variant, and also of the original. But also I am concerned that now it's just a hunt for the other Loki, so that he can do something to be more like that Loki, rather than it being actually a character arc for himself right now.
So my fear
that we have lost the point of where to go.
So my fear with the show is that the next episodes are going to be, we're going to be following this. I'm gonna say it's a Lady Loki, because there's an actress who got casted. It looks like a Tom Hiddleston type. I'm just saying, guys, they wouldn't not do that. But they're going to be following this character for episodes and episodes. They're going to reach them. They're going to fight. Then they're going to disappear because they have something that can make them teleport. And then maybe he'll team up with her and then actually betray her because he's actually a good person. And then I'm like, oh, so I know the rest of the plot for this show. So cool, I guess. That's why I keep saying, like, this episode for me was so good, but I felt they might have done too much in one episode. Like that's
and like all this is like we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in those next episodes. I will be happy to have these things not come to pass. I started really high, like, you know, I do love this episode. I'm just definitely nervous given the previous runs, Falcon and WandaVision, that we've cut off the growth mark already too quick. And that it's not, now it's all going to kind of feel like it's drawn out, and like the next moment where Loki's character stuff is really going to feel like it matters is the last episode. But we'll find out if that's the case. Isn't
it possible though? Isn't it possible though that they could, the reason why they caught him up to the original Loki is so that his character development could continue past where we saw him in Infinity War, and there could be more character work going that doesn't rely on him finding out about his original timeline.
I definitely am not saying that, you know, you can't, that was the only thing interesting to do with his character and there's nothing else interesting to do now. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm concerned because of the previous Marvel shows that this is it. And that now it's just catch that Loki, prove you good, do thing right. Okay, I don't want that to be it. And that's just my fear, because I'm bringing like mishandled character arcs from the previous ones, Bucky, or all of the
side characters in WandaVision,
all the side characters in WandaVision, or all of the Flag Smashers. Like, I'm bringing all of that over to this. And I understand, you know, it's different people, it's different crew, different show. That doesn't mean the same thing is going to happen. That's just simply my nervousness is what will they hit that landing? Who knows?
You know what they did hit the landing on, you guys? It's called the TVA, because in the comics, the TVA is a joke. It's not it's a thing that exists, and they use actual retcons to fix comic book history. It's a joke, and the people who run the TVA are Mark Gruenwald, who's the writer of Captain America and stuff. Like, the thing is a joke, and they made it into the actual Marvel canon. It's like, no, this is the biggest. This is what controls time and space.
This is real, and the Infinity Stones are a joke.
Thanos is nothing. He's a baby.
I really like the look of the TVA. It's retro future stuff that I'm really into. I'm always into that idea. Legion is a good example that uses this kind of aesthetic as well. It's not as weird as Legion, but it's still kind of a similar aesthetic.
It reminds me a lot of Control, and Control is literally a game about bureaucracy controlling powers that they cannot control. And that's what feels like, but they got it under control here.
I love how the whole all the TVA feels like you're in the 1970s. Like you're in a 1970s style DMV or something.
Oh, Umbrella Academy is a good example of the 1980s time travel thing.
Yeah, but man, that's no, because the whole TVA. Yeah. Oh, I love Miss Minutes. And once again, they talk about the multiverse, so we get another Marvel property where they talk about the whole.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. I was actually stalling because I forgot what I wanted to say. What I wanted to really say was no. So the thing that they talk about is that the Avengers are supposed to go back in time. But if that were the case, then that means that Loki was supposed to pick up the Tesseract, which means that was supposed to happen. So I understand it's time travel. Don't think about it. It's the Janeway thing. Just don't worry about it. Janeway character from Star Trek. But there is kind of me going like, so he wasn't supposed to get what's the timeline supposed to be if he doesn't get the Tesseract? Then Tony Stark just gets a slice of pizza and walks away.
I think like it's
then they don't have to go to
the 1970s, but then that should be. But isn't that also predetermined? Isn't that
this is where we got we cannot worry about this.
Well, I mean, but you're hitting on an important point.
I like the discussion.
You're hitting on an important point, which I think is going to be the point of the show, because the thesis statement is Loki criticizing the TVA because he's saying you are all creating an illusion because it makes you feel like you are in control of your weak lives, which is the exact thing Loki was doing, and he felt very seen. And then he expresses that he felt very seen directly to Mobius. But the other thing is that I think Loki's going to be proven correct. The TVA is an illusion.
Yes.
There is no sacred timeline,
so
he's going to blow that whole thing open.
So this is God. We rewatched that Miss Minutes multiverse thing because it's just so fascinating. Because they talk about so much in so little time and how much like this is what the Marvel universe is. So there's a sacred timeline. There's one timeline.
There's no multiverse.
There's no multiverse. That's because the timekeepers, to make sure that they keep time the way they want it, they made sure that this is the one timeline where Kang succeeds. This is the one timeline where the timekeepers, who's Kang? Kang's part of the timekeepers. He's the guy
that dude in the middle.
He looks suspiciously like
Kang.
Crazy. Also, Kang has Immortus and like Imhotep and stuff, and like he literally rules time from Egypt in modern and in the future to have the sacred timeline. He talks about it in the Avengers comics how he dictates time because he's God. This is so exciting. Oh my God, why is he an Ant-Man?
But we know that there is a multiverse because there's a movie coming out called Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
But that's not out yet. So the multiverse doesn't exist yet.
Loki is gonna create the multiverse.
Yes.
No. Loki isn't going to create the multiverse.
It already exists.
He's going to free the multiverse.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The TVA is a lie. Kang is it's Kang, but like the timekeepers. The timekeepers are keeping the sacred timeline because that's the one where they are the winners and they have all the power. I think the multiverse exists, just people aren't supposed to know about it. Like it's like they're bad cops. They're bad
you're not
cops.
supposed to make, and you're not supposed to make a new timeline.
This world is barred from the multiverse. That's what they've tried to do. They've tried to isolate it. And Loki's going to figure that out. He's going to shatter that illusion. I do believe that is why he says what he says, which is also a representation of himself. And what he needs is to be like, I can't do that. I can't create these illusions. I have to be myself.
Yeah.
The multiverse does too. And so that's the end of the show.
Anytime something happens off the prime timeline, the sacred timeline, the timekeepers fix it, right? Because if anything bad happens, the multiverse will explode. That's not real. That's a fake story. That's fake news that they're trying to get you to live in the sacred timeline and not do anything different. I'm so excited. This can go so many different ways, or Marvel could just do literally nothing with it.
This could be why What If comes out after this.
Yeah, 100%. I think the multiverse exists. It's on lockdown, and Loki's going to be like, no, that's illegal. Everyone should be allowed to be who they are.
Guys,
and
the multiverse is out there doing its own thing, but
we cannot connect to it.
But the MCU is locked.
Yeah. Anytime there's an Endgame variant. No, we got to stop it. Oh, there's a Loki variant. We got to stop it because that's not what Kang wants.
Guys, the multiverse does exist. They say it in Doctor Strange like 20 times.
Yeah. It's a multiverse of madness.
Well, no, not in the
original Doctor Strange. They do.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you're right because Romano exists within the multiverse.
Yeah, and also right after the Ancient One dies, is the news of the Ancient One's death will ripple throughout the multiverse.
So that makes me wonder if the Ancient One and like how powerful they are because it's magical is like separate from the TVA's like power.
They did say that. They did say there was an interview where they were like the Sorcerer Supreme and the TVA, the magic and science of it all. They don't connect.
Okay.
They're different powers that work kind of in tandem.
That makes sense.
I also think there's supposed to be different concepts of like what they think they're saying when they say multiverse.
Yeah.
Because the TVA is very specifically talking about a multiverse with variants.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is referring to a multiverse with just different crap that doesn't exist in your main
in
world.
the What
the
If
dark
trailer,
dimension, the mirror dimension.
Right. It's not talking about the alternate Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Which we see in the What If trailer is a Doctor Strange fighting a Doctor Strange.
And like that's coming. We know that we know the multiverse exists.
It's just crazy that like Loki's the thing.
But the TVA is enforcing a lie that it doesn't.
That's
and
awesome.
I think that's what Loki's ultimately going to do is he's going to shatter that illusion because he's shattering the illusion of his own bull.
Didn't think about that. That's really interesting.
Yep.
I think that's where we're headed.
See, I think that's the arc of the show. Unfortunately, it should have been with Loki as a character, but I think it's going to be to rewrite the world as a.
I think that where the character stuff could still happen is like I'm not sure what the character arc for our main Loki is, but the variant Loki that they're trying to hunt is going to probably be the Loki that opens main Endgame Loki's eyes to.
Yeah,
they're going to open the eyes to. This is what they did to enforce this, and Loki being like, "This is all just the same shit I was doing to enforce my illusions."
Man, that'd be so
this
great.
isn't how it should be, and Owen Wilson will probably come to that same conclusion.
Yeah, I was talking to Sparks after we watched it. Like, I think Owen Wilson and maybe even that judge lady who's like,
isn't she Kang's?
Who's Kang's wife in the comics? But again, that doesn't really matter here.
Or does
we met
it?
Man-Thing's wife in Iron Man 3.
Yes.
That means Man-Thing's out there. We met Peter Parker in Iron Man 2, apparently.
Man-Thing's face is in Thor Ragnarok. I had a point.
Wife in the books too.
I don't remember.
Kang's wife, the judge.
No.
Sorry. And Mobius. Like, I think they will also become disillusioned thanks to Loki. Because like Mobius is like, yeah, we gotta have the sacred timeline, man. Wow, whatever. But then Loki's gonna be like, yeah, but why? It's stupid. And then he's gonna be like, oh wow, you're right. And that's Owen Wilson with a mustache. He's so
Ryan.
good. Hey.
Do you think Professor Gamble is going to show up?
Who?
Professor Gamble is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. He's probably in 3 comics, but I love it. He is the Doctor Who of the Marvel Universe. This character was created. I have his first appearance as Power Man and Iron Fist. I don't remember the number. He's a professor who lives in a library that's bigger on the inside. He's got a bowler hat, and he works for the TVA.
Okay, I mean, this would be the show where he showed up, but like, I mean, who knows, man? Marvel loves to put. We got a smiling tiger reference in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and that's like a totally obscure character.
I'd really like it because that would mean my first appearance would go with Skyrocket, and I could sell it.
That's true. That is very true.
Very selfish reasons to want a character in a show.
Yes. Infinity Stones are a bunch of bullshit here. I love it so much because there's just like a dozen of them, and Loki's just like, what?
I love that. That's the impetus.
Yeah.
That kind of shatters his ideas of this.
Where he's like, use them as paperweights.
Oh yeah, we get these all the time, and it's like this is.
The fun thing, because. Isn't in the comics that like the Infinity Stones are like there's only one set of them? There's not like a multiverse of them?
The Infinity Stones only work because I researched this before. The Infinity Stones only work in the timeline they come from. So if they move universes, they do not work anymore.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not that Loki would know that.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, the TVA's power. It's
it's like, yeah, hey MCU audiences, the Infinity Stones are still out there, but does that matter?
Again, like. The power that these boring bureaucrats have, it's like just like the guy Casey, he's just like, they're nothing. Like that guy's more powerful than Thanos is. That's this is a show just boring people, and I love it. It's so crazy. Like oh man, I am so excited, and again, I am so scared for the rest of the show because like it was so high for me. Like this show is like it's not as like weird as WandaVision, but WandaVision had like a trajectory of that. Like if the whole show is actually like this, like I'm so stoked. It looks great. Like the cinematography is great. Like I think it's the best looking of the 3 shows by far, no doubt.
Oh yeah,
that I will agree with.
Yeah. I will push back and say that like I do think it's just as weird as WandaVision. It's just showing you the hand.
That's right.
Right at the outset, rather than like hiding it from you.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think that I think the look is really good. I think they do a pretty good job of recapturing the idea of who Loki was from Thor to the Avengers and then nothing else as
Yeah.
he has to develop on this.
This
I
has
really,
a better.
I really like Tom Hiddleston's performance as being that Loki again, and how it is so clearly different than the Loki that we've seen, because he's still like, I'm burdened with glorious purpose. I need to rule Midgard. You know, he's still
like,
that.
He's still a villainous monologuer.
Yeah.
Well, and like, I kind of hope it comes up later in the show, how he was kind of tricked by Thanos, kind of like lied to by Thanos. That's supposed to be part of the implied concept of like Thanos making these great promises to him about who he should be after he fell into space.
Yeah.
Like I hope that's part of it. I hope that's part of like, you know, Loki was lost, Thanos found him and set him on this path, and like that's why he's so much who he was at that point.
He's like an adopted children of Thanos, almost.
In a way,
they're all adopted.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
He's no different than Ronan. Not really, because the only thing that Ronan did differently was that he said, "Screw you, Thanos. This is my stone now," which we don't know that Loki wouldn't have done.
Right, but I mean, like Ronan was driven by like a
religious genocide,
a religious, you know, like ideology that was already pushing him, whereas Loki was like, you know,
a sad boy.
in the turmoil of learning that he was not truly the son of Odin. And then Thanos being like, yeah, I mean, you know, use that, like, screw them, right? Take Midgard. They like that. It'd be cool if like that's you know, how Loki was puppeted is something he reckons with.
It feels like, and I said this to you yesterday, this has a better therapy session than the actual therapy session in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because like the stuff that like Owen Wilson is speaking like hard facts to Loki, and he's asking him like real questions, like, "Yo, who are you? Why are you this way?" And Loki just like, "It's because I'm a king." He's like, "No, you're not."
He says, "Do you like hurting people?"
Yeah.
Because he knows what the answer is.
Yeah.
But Loki won't say it until he has to reconcile with the fact that like it was a necessity. I had to do it because that's
I don't
what
like to do it. Yeah,
that's what dictated my life, was like this performance.
It's what people expect.
Yeah, and that's like, again, that's like super...
which is again shattering that idea of illusion.
Yeah,
so that's what he should be doing in the arc of the show.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case.
I think Mobius, because like it looks like it is going to be almost like a buddy cop thing. Like he's going to be going on this journey with him to find evil Loki. I
love Owen Wilson's wig. That gray wig, it's so good.
Oh, looks like a good wig.
And it's a good wig, right?
A good wig. I have a feeling he will be more introspective with Loki, because he is a big fan of Loki's. Back from even the Norse days or whatever. Like I think he's gonna be like interviewing him through hopefully like the whole season. That'd be great. Like, yeah, just tell me about your dad. Yeah, wow. Like I just want that.
Just constantly.
No, your real dad. Tell me about Laufey.
Yeah, they call him Laufey on a bunch. Yeah.
It was in Norse mythology, Laufey's a girl, and that's really weird because Laufey's actually a boy.
Listen, Loki, like, he impregnates a horse. Like, listen, Norse mythology is weird.
Yeah, and Odin rides that horse. That child.
And then he rides that horse.
You got a ox that licked a thing of salt that helped create the world, and then you got Vili and Vey.
Yeah, but that's not Loki related. We were just riffing off of Loki
weird.
stuff.
That's
you know, Loki's son. Loki's son is one of Loki's son is the World Serpent, Jormungandr.
Yeah, that's weird.
Miscellaneous 2 years ago. Check it out.
There you go, God of War. Oh yeah, the Timekeepers. I absolutely 100% believe that this is the Wizard of Oz situation. Even if it's not Kang himself, like Kang is related because like this is, guys, I read Kang comics. Like it's like it's there. But even if it's not, like I think the three wise men, I think that's bullshit. I think there is like a behind the scenes thing that's actually happening.
I'll get in on the Kang thing, you know, because more than anything, the Mephisto theorizing was fun as hell, and then it became a fun joke to be like Thaddeus Ross is Mephisto.
There's a
devil in this.
Oh yeah.
There's that's fun, and that's fun. Anyway, Kang's Mephisto, but that's all fun. But like, if Kang were to show up, it honestly, and like I'm not taking anything away from the show. If he doesn't show up, whatever. He's showing up in Ant-Man and the Wasp. We know that. But if he were to show up anywhere, I would buy it in this show.
Again, like that sacred timeline thing, like it's not the same verbiage, but that's what Kang does. Kang went to the beginning of time, he went to the Avengers time, and he went to the end of time to solidify his rule as ruler of time and space. So like he has like 3 different versions of himself living throughout time. Again, you read that Doctor Doom comic. Multiple versions of Kang show up from different timelines, and they don't even know that this is happening.
This is what I was saying to Ryan, because he's like, well, how would he get from here to Ant-Man? And I'm like, why can't Ant-Man just be him at a different point in his timeline? That's not after
it's
the
evil.
TVA.
It's Evil River Song. She shows up at different points in his life, and that's what Kang does. And again, we're getting that miniseries that's going to like actually solidify his really complicated history coming out soon. I wonder why, because he's in a movie, maybe a show. The TVA thing, it's so fascinating. Again, like Marvel went hard on this like bullshit joke that the editors are like, we need a way to fix the comics, but like we really don't care. Let's make a joke out of it and actually just call it retconning. If they have like a retcon gun in this show, guys, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Do you remember?
Because they already have the explosive that does it.
Do you remember Powerless? The original pitch for Powerless was meant to be set in an insurance company called Retcon Insurance.
Yes.
I'm still upset we never got that original show.
I remember you talking to me about that pilot, and I'm mad we never got that show, because the only episode of that show I did watch was the one with Adam West in it, because that was his last performance before he passed away.
Yeah.
That show was bad.
Yeah. I definitely think Kang or no Kang, the point, like the major goal of this show is to orient the everyone audience that is the MCU to their interpretation of what the multiverse will be and prep it for everything that's about to happen.
So they mentioned at the beginning of time there's a multiversal war. I don't even know what that means. Like what the the only thing in Marvel comics like that
Secret Wars.
Is Secret Wars, yes. Yeah. So I'm imagining like Jesus, like I don't even like there's no way multiverse, like dimensions don't just come upon each other. That's not how it works.
Now
so
Secret Wars,
I'm curious how the whole
Secret Wars is a very difficult thing to do for the MCU, not just for concept wise, but like just because actors get older. So you're never going to have like a 70-year-old Tony Stark by the time you get to doing Secret Wars. But there was a poster, and look, it could be fan made, it could be whatever, but there was a leaked poster of What If, which said Guardians of the Multiverse, and it had characters such as Party Thor and Haley Atwell's Captain America, Captain Britain, and it had a bunch of the What If main characters and what looked like a team roster. It's entirely possible that What If could build to an animated like team up of some of these multiverse characters.
There's definitely no way. Like I couldn't even like I couldn't imagine. No. I'm even going harder. Like I couldn't imagine what an Endgame looked like. I could not imagine what Secret Wars looked like. That Jonathan Hickman comic where every dimension is on one planet. That's the biggest thing ever made. Like I don't know how you do that, but just like a fun little there was a multiversal war. We got rid of that shit. And I'm like that's so much information that you're just like 5 seconds it's gone. And I'm like that's to me that's just like endlessly fascinating. That's like a throwaway line.
They also restarted the timeline according to that thing, so it's like it destroyed the multiverse, and then like they created a new sacred timeline.
People who know better than me, isn't the MCU and Earth in the comics?
What do you mean? Say it again.
Isn't the MCU a place in the comics? Like,
it does have a
designation. Are 616, but the MCU exists somewhere.
Yes, it has a multiversal designation. It's something
so
like
they could. So
1999999.
We could literally be talking about Secret Wars, the comic event.
Yeah.
And then this is what happened with the MCU.
Shit, that'd be wild.
Man.
I mean, because that would be their take, right? That would be their take. That's the rival of what DC's doing, which is everything is canon.
Yeah.
And they just go, well, yeah, what we're referring to is the comics.
Oh, cats.
Oh, we lost them. It's really funny because you just see Ryan lunge to stop.
I saw Ryan lunge for that. I'm like, the second he lunged, and kind of was like, cats.
Yeah.
Bloody cats.
I bet that was a really good point though from Sparks.
I bet it was too.
Anyway, while they're doing that, I'm gonna look up the MCU's number designation.
Okay. Yeah, because I had a feeling that we talked about this once before, how the MCU does have a designation, has a multiverse designation in the comics.
Yeah, it's Earth. It's Earth. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's Earth. 199,999.
Oh,
that's That's the
That's-
MCU Earth. Every movie has an Earth designation also. So like the Fantastic Four films, both multiverses in there, the X-Men films, they all have a multiversal designation because Marvel has considered that everything, the DC universe is in the Marvel multiverse. But it doesn't work the other way because DC is in the comics is very like it needs to be 52 or it needs to be whatever.
Yeah, they love that 52 number.
So Marvel is like every What If has a different multiversal number, so they all have different numbers. And there's a list somewhere, but honestly, there's so many that I don't really care to look.
Yeah,
just making sure that Sparks doesn't want to cut this part out.
It's very true.
It was the editing.
Yeah.
How long should we wait?
I don't know.
All right, bye.
Oh,
there they are.
There they are.
Hi, guys.
Wait for it.
Hold on.
Wait for it.
Cats.
Cats.
We figured.
Somebody's going to have to remind me to cut that out. Anyway.
Hey, I did good stuff. I did some good riffing.
You did good stuff.
Okay. Fine, I'll leave it. I don't know what you said, but okay, I'll leave it. You told me. Consider it left.
You can cut it out. I don't care.
No, now I will forget and it's gone.
I told Ben that the MCU's Earth designation is 199,999.
Cute. Yeah. So more or less, my point was maybe this is their way of doing their interpretation of what DC's doing, which is just saying like, yeah, we are that in the comics, and what we're referring to is Secret Wars, and this is what happened in the MCU after Secret Wars, and that would be the end of the explanation, and that only really matters to dorks and nerds, because the general like movie-going audience, like when I go see my buddy Travis or something like that, and I tell him, yeah, it's because it exists in the world of the comics, he'll be like, that's cool.
I mean, it's no different.
I like the show.
I mean, Spider-Verse has Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield fighting the Spider-Verse, so like that's just the thing that comics have done. So the MCU could just be like, yeah, we do that too now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm just hypothesizing because the comics say that the MCU exists there, and I'm like, well, they could be referring to that, and then this is what happens. So there you go. There's your canon, comic nerds. Anyway. More than that, what I wanted to say is I think everything related to the humor and just action beats with looping time was really good.
Oh yeah, the
Ruby.
the buzzer thing that they had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruby from Lovecraft Country is in this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope she's in it the whole time.
Did we know that? Did we know that going into this? Because I don't remember.
I feel like we did, and we forgot.
I think so. I think we talked about it
I definitely forgot when this started.
months ago.
Yeah, me too.
But seeing her like, oh yeah.
She walked in. I was like, oh hey.
Yeah. Yeah. The slow motion effect of him like that's looks great. Reminding me of Dread slow mo. Yeah.
I have a question.
Answer.
In the beginning, Mongolia.
Yeah.
That didn't look like modern day.
I wasn't sure either.
I think it is because that breaks the space stone. That breaks the space stone's rules.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There
I
might
know
just
that.
be, like,
I know
nomads.
that. I was just like, why does this look so period set?
I think it might have just been like they were in the middle of nowhere, maybe, and like these are just like nomad people, maybe.
I'm gonna say that
They're either nomad people or they're racist.
That's what I was gonna say, but I didn't want to say it. But it seems a little racist.
I don't know. I
certainly don't know how all of Mongolia looks, but that didn't look particularly 2012-y, even by nomad.
I mean, if you're in the middle of a desert in 2012 or 1800, it looks the same. It's a desert.
None of us have been to the Gobi Desert.
None of us have been to the desert. I'm like, I'm not. That's not the thing in this thing. I'm not worried about that.
But yeah, it has to be 2012, or else the space stone can travel through time, which is weird.
Well, that's what I figured, because like it just looks very period, which to
some
me
people
like,
wear different clothes in different areas.
I understand this.
Yeah,
it's I understand that. But what I also understand is you are making a choice when you decide to depict things in a particular way, and that either looks like a period choice or maybe like a stereotype. and it's one of the two.
Okay.
Rather than like maybe direct accurate representation, or maybe just
look at
best
this.
way to do accurate representation.
Yeah.
I found it. I looked it up.
Is it a place?
The nomadic life in the Gobi Desert. And
There you go.
yeah, they have. Okay, we didn't see inside the huts, but yes, they use these huts. They're called, I think, like traditional tents called gur, and pursue a nomadic life herding goat, sheep, and camel.
Well, look at that.
Look at that.
I wasn't worried.
Good for them.
Yeah. Any
He'll
other
never
topics you
see
want
this.
to bring up?
I mean, I definitely like. My point was that you could pick somewhere that looks more modern.
But
Oh,
he's
what
like
you're doing.
in the middle of a desert. I don't. He wanted to escape. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah, this is cool. I learned about a whole new thing thanks to Loki. Good job, Loki. Thank you.
there you go.
All right. I don't really
Anything
have
else?
anything else to do.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
I loved it. I'm super excited for the next one. Cautiously the opposite of optimistic. Just because I felt like I got so full on this first episode, I'm like, I hope there's room for second.
Can you be cautiously pessimistic?
Sure. I made it up.
All right.
I just made it up.
Go for it. I'm pretty excited for the next episode. I liked this. Like I said, I wasn't as hot on it as you guys were. It's a lot of setup, but I'm excited to see where that setup goes. I'm in. Like I like the look of it. I like Owen Wilson a lot, and I love Tom Hiddleston. So yeah, let's go.
Hell yeah. And it's only well, I mean, I was gonna say it's only 6 episodes, but they're an hour long, so it's like
And actually, this was almost an hour in length.
Yeah.
This was like 54 minutes. So I'm glad that they're like, yeah, we don't have to do 45 minutes.
weren't some of like the Falcon and Winter Soldiers like really short and some really long? Like I guess
Yeah.
it's just like your script's done, right? Like
One was like 36 minutes.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like one's like yeah,
But like some of the Falcon Winter Soldier episodes that were shorter probably should have been a little longer.
Yeah.
probably.
The whole series should have been longer, or been a movie. One of the two,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not the in between.
Extra short, extra long. Oh,
One of
boy.
the two.
Oh, Loki.
One of the two.
Oh boy.
Anything else you guys want to add, Ben or Sparks?
I think that tweet that I definitely retweeted that I saw was just I don't think like it's making a particular stance that one's better than the other, but I do think it was just an interesting look at like the post after effects where they compared what the TVA looks like in the trailer compared to the show, and I definitely like I think that me personally, I think that the correct answer was somewhere more in between. I do think by comparison that the version that we see in the show is a little crowded. Just filled with a little too much detail, kind of not leaving enough to your imagination. Whereas I think the one in the trailer, while it looks more natural, is also a little sparse. I do want it to feel a little more bureaucratic, in a sense. But I do think that like when looking at them next to each other, the final version we got in the show as compared to the trailer looks a little busy. And I feel like I could have been left to create more with my mind rather than having every detail filled out for me.
100% agree that I think both are good choices. For me personally, if for like a bureaucracy that runs all of space and time, I want it to be busy. So the fact that it looked like 10 times Coruscant was like made sense to me because like that's a lot of paperwork.
Again, like I it's not a problem. I just like when you look at both of them, it's interesting to see like what
totally
what are
different.
the appeals here and what's working for you. And I think this is a completely like
there is I think a middle choice is the best option because the first one was too sparse. I think
I agree.
but like the fog of it was nice, but also like I want it to be busier. So like when you look at them, it's just like one looks like a video game background too cluttered, and the other one looks like too empty. I got
I'm
it.
like,
One's
that's so much.
One's Coruscant pre Order 66. One's Coruscant post Order 66. There's a lot less flying around.
I really like the bit with the fire. I'm going to set this place on fire. I'll help you. You can start with my desk. The good paperwork will be good emperor for the fire. This place is a nightmare. No, that place isn't. That place I'll help you burn down.
I like the bit with the guy who I have to assume was like the Miss Minutes video where it's like, or you were just late for your work shift, and then he's a variant, and that's it. And the one guy who's just bickering and then gets erased, and Loki's just.
That's so nuts. Again, like that's really funny, but also like the timeline is so strict that like, yo, if this one person misses a shift, then they might die.
We didn't talk about the best joke in the episode, which is, do a lot of people not know they're robots?
Oh, he has that self-reflection where he's about to walk in, like,
What if I don't know I'm a robot?
Then you'll be incinerated.
then the machine will pull you apart.
Yeah, that was
Excellent.
that's actually my favorite bit in the whole show.
And he's just like he's just that little bit like not entirely certain because when you're faced with it that directly, you're like, I don't think I'm a robot.
And he's just like, I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot.
How many people think they're robots?
Do a lot of people think that don't know they're robots? Thank you for the confirmation. What would happen if I were a robot?
Again, I love like a Shin Godzilla like control, like when it's like bureaucracy in the face of like absolute like crazy nonsense power. I love that stuff, and I am a little worried that we're gonna get like so much less of it now that we're gonna be like variant hunting. It's just gonna be we're gonna be going to a lot of cool alien worlds. I really hope we get some more death stuff. I want some more death stuff.
Optimistically, I think that we're gonna see a lot of that bureaucracy come back and be the thing that is like slowing down Morbius and Loki, and that's going to ultimately push both of them to push back.
Oh, I hope so.
I have a question that I just wrote down. Now we can go down that path if we want, or you could just say no and we'll move on. What does this mean for Steve when he goes back in time and stays with Peggy?
It was supposed to happen.
Yeah, but he's asking, wouldn't that be a variant and a multiverse?
Doesn't that create a multiverse?
The sacred timeline?
Because that's not a branch they snip.
Look, I will tell you the real answer, which is that obviously nobody talks to each other about time travel. Since the writers and the directors of that movie couldn't agree on what that meant. The answer is they don't care.
Yeah.
And I guess neither should we.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a fun hypothetical that I thought I'd just throw out there.
I would love to follow that thought experiment if I thought in any way that they thought about it before they said what they said for this show.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there will be more clarity on how that would function as we get to the end. But with the information we have, the most I can say is like, either it matters or it doesn't, and we don't know. So... I'm leaning towards they probably didn't think about it.
At this point, I don't care. I don't want to get into it because I know it's going to be like, oh, but what if this, but what if that, what if this, but what if that? But by this logic, it's like, no, I'm just going to sit down, shut up, and watch the show, and what happens, happens.
Ben doesn't like thinking.
What?
Ben doesn't like thinking, obviously. I'm
Jeez.
kidding.
Damn.
I love you. You're great.
Jeez.
Much as Brandon said a while ago in regards to the Steve thing, what matters is your interpretation of that moment, because there is no hard rule from anyone about that moment, since, again, the directors and the writers could not agree about it in post. Then there's no hard answer, so it's whatever you prefer. I know what I prefer, and I will not embrace the other version because for me, that makes the MCU stupid. That's me. I'm not judging anyone else who disagrees with my perspective.
Steve stays in the past and ignores everything?
No, it's if that were the case, I think it's stupid. Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
No, I agree. That's fucking bullshit. Steve Rogers would not let the world go to shit single.
If your interpretation has to say, no, he absolutely went back and he lived that life after, and he just watched as the other Steve did his things, then I'll be like, cool, man.
That's great.
It's cool that you need to live in that MCU. I refuse to live in that MCU.
See, that's the reason why I bring it. The reason why I bring it up, and I don't want to. Sure. I don't want to make it frustrating for anybody. It was just a fun little thought.
Not frustrating. It's not frustrating.
It is for him.
No, I'm saying that we get okay.
But the idea is
no, shush. Let me be clear.
Ben, you're right. Time travel's bullshit. Time travel's bullshit. If you don't want to engage in bullshit, I agree with you, Ben. I agree.
Anyway, what I was saying is the idea is that these characters, and this goes to more about the show talk. So these characters, they snip to alternate timelines that are forming before they form into a multiverse. And if we follow that logic, that would mean that either Steve Rogers went back in time and stayed in the MCU timeline, not changing anything, which would not create a alternate timeline, or by the logic that is dictated in Endgame.
In the movie
itself, it does say if you go back in time and change anything, you are creating an alternate timeline. Then they would have killed Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Been like, nope.
It's all silly.
So here's. I wonder if a sanctioned variant is allowed if it follows the path of the sacred timeline, because Steve has to come back and give Sam the shield.
That's what I
Oh,
think.
That maintains the sacred timeline.
There
So
you go.
that's something that we don't know. Are certain variants allowed under certain circumstances as long as it is actually maintaining the true timeline?
Yes, because Kang is doing that with his other versions of himself throughout time.
Well, certainly, but Kang doesn't have to play by his
No,
own
that's what I
rules.
mean. He's making the rules that don't.
Not
show
only that.
bullshit.
Not only that, my big theory about this is that Loki is meant to be a variant. This Loki was meant to be alive because, by their own logic that the TVA sets out in front of us, the Avengers were supposed to go back in time, which means that they were supposed to screw up with the Tesseract in 2012, which means they were supposed to go to 2000. Because if they're supposed to go to 2012, they have to go to 1970. They have to. Well, it can't be one or the other. So if they mess up, they have to go to 2012. That means they always have to mess up, which means that Loki always has to steal the Tesseract, which means that he always has to be a variant, which means that he was always meant to go to the TVA and help them, and that's how it's done.
I stand by that. I think the sacred timeline's just bullshit.
It is bullshit.
I don't think
it's
so.
Kang's
none of this
timeline.
is a meant to happen, and that's going to be the
timeline.
point. Is that none of this is a sacred timeline? The sacred timeline is utter crap.
The Kang timeline.
That's my take. But we'll find out.
You see where I'm coming from, though. The idea that if the Avengers were supposed to go back in time, that means that Loki was always supposed to take the Tesseract in 2012.
Yeah. All this is supposed to happen.
I get you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is that all this was supposed to happen?
Right. I just also think nothing is supposed to. I believe that the point
fighting
is
destiny.
I believe that the point is going to be that they do have free will.
Yes.
And that the TVA is an illusion that's trying to say they don't.
It's like Minority Report. Like, do you create the future if you know the future?
Right.
There you go. The answer is yes. You
because just as easily as Loki picked up the Tesseract, there's another place where the Avengers did the exact same thing, and the Tesseract didn't slide over to Loki. And that didn't happen.
But then that means they never go back to the 1970s, which means that Tony never sees his dad, which I think has to happen, because otherwise that's an alternate timeline, which they have to snip.
That's
why this is all bullshit.
That's why that is my point. My point is that the sacred timeline is horseshit.
It is.
There is an alternate reality where that exact thing happened.
Yes. The Timekeepers.
Just like there's an alternate reality where Peggy Carter is Captain Britain. All those things are going to be real because the sacred timeline is crap.
I think you're right. I am just running with the thought logic that that's laid out in front of us in this episode, which is why I'm going. I'm not speculating right now. I'm just laying out the thought logic there.
I even think there will be some point in the show where the characters themselves have the conversation we're having, where they're like, "Okay, so like I was supposed to do this, blah blah blah," and then they realize, destiny is not.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because they have to, because Loki has to eventually come to the point of like, wait a second, if the Avengers are supposed to do that, that means that I was always supposed to do this.
Yes.
Which would lead him to the idea that like, wait, that means the multiverse has to exist.
Which means the TVA is full of bullshit, and then yeah.
How does Loki know that the Avengers time traveled?
Oh yeah, he doesn't know who Ant-Man is.
Well, maybe he watched more of Disney Plus than we saw.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're right.
He does say he could smell the clone of 2 Tony Starks.
He does say that.
He does say that.
He does say that.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he got filled in and we didn't see, I guess. That's a good point. Yeah.
Or he just was like, okay, time travel, I guess.
Just
although that wouldn't be my immediate reaction either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not Loki.
I guess just assuming like this is a time authority. Well, the Avengers, they broke time.
No, but it's fine. They were allowed.
That's why I smelled 2 Tony Starks, because they time traveled. Got it. Okay. Then it could be that.
Yeah.
Tony Stark not changing his cologne in over a decade.
Jeez. Hey man, if you got the most expensive cologne in the world, maybe you don't need to change it. I'm gonna pose one final question and then we're at an hour. I think we should wrap it up. Do you think we will see any other character variants of any other character in the show?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. And not big or small, just any other character that's not a Loki, I'm going to say yes.
It's probably.
Cool.
I wouldn't bet
because I was just thinking of like variant Thor.
Because the sacred timeline is bullshit.
Yes, and I'm just like, because like we saw all those characters in like Loki watching Disney Plus, and I'm like, oh my god, it'd be so fun to see like evil Ant-Man or like evil Thor, just something fun. Obviously, that's like reach for the pie in the sky.
You know who I want?
Who do you want?
Variant Red Skull.
He's the Green Skull. He's about the environment.
No,
Well,
he's
I
just a Red Skull who didn't get zapped into space.
Oh god.
I do think we're going to see. I actually think we're going to see Thor anyway. Not the current Thor, not the post Endgame Thor, but a past Thor, and not even a variant Thor. Because I think he's going to Asgard in the past. And I think it's possible we might see either Thor or Idris Elba as Heimdall.
We do in the trailers. We do see him go to like a destroyed New York and like an Asgard
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. That destroyed New York. It might be like a half dead Avenger or something. Like, oh, you didn't save us, or you killed us, Loki, or something. I just think of
Another
comic
Iron
books.
Man skeleton.
Robert Downey Jr. is done. He's
No, a skeleton, just like Mysterio's.
Oh,
in,
okay, sure.
Homecoming.
Yeah, just like I think of like comics and like I love multiverse stuff, and like I'm not super excited about like everything happening in Spider-Man because it's Spider-Man, but with like this TV show and like Doctor Strange, I am so ready to see like alternate versions.
You know, that reminded me of actually something that, and I'm sorry we're going so long. I'm surprised we got this long, but it reminded me. I was actually surprised that Mobius asking those questions didn't lead to him showing Loki the alternate future, where like the alternate, like creating the alternate idea of if Loki had won in Avengers and conquered Midgard and what that would have looked like. I was actually a little surprised that's not where we saw the destroyed Avengers Tower, destroyed New York, and that.
Maybe I think the implication is that the TVA, because the sacred timeline must be maintained, and they believe that the people who work at the TVA, they only have access to video that is the sacred timeline.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have access to a visual of a variant where Loki won, because if Loki won, they'd have to stop it.
Yeah.
I get that now. Having seen that, I get that. But when he was first asking the questions, I thought that's where that scene was going.
Sure.
Gotcha, yeah.
Sure, I get you.
Oh man. What if there's like there's an entire vault full of like alternate history, just videos of like, oh, this is the vault of all the dead worlds.
This is where Napoleon didn't
I had
die.
a totally different thought when you started that sentence, is what if there's a vault? Like the variants aren't actually erased.
No, they're just kept like in Westworld.
They're like in a file drawer.
Yeah.
There's just a vault of all the variants, and Loki just frees all of the variants.
Oh, that's an awesome, like just 100 Lokis.
That whole TVA is full of variants.
It's like Cabin in the Woods. It's the end of Cabin in the Woods, but with Marvel characters.
If the TVA does this, if the TVA does this, what does the Watcher do? The Watcher can see through the multiverse.
He watches.
He just watches though.
But like but does he? We'll find out in What If.
We will find out. I think I think his thing is just like, oh, we're gonna look at what if Captain America wasn't Captain America.
But he's not creating the timeline. That timeline.
No, but he's just watching them as they happen.
He just wants to watch them Graybles, baby.
You get me.
I do get you. That character is just the Watcher.
I know. It's a character from Adventure Time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
He literally just like sits in space at a different point in time, and he's like, "Let's watch this story about these side characters."
Quite literally, it is a character who's like 1,000 years ago. Let's watch what happened with these characters, and it's our characters. It's a clip show.
Yeah.
They see what happens where he lands on
That's
Ooh.
the Watcher.
So real quick, last thing on the Watcher, in Bendis's X-Men, because Beast for like the last 10 years has just been like a super bad like war criminal guy. The Watcher shows up and talks to Beast, and he's like, "Beast McCoy, I just want you to know I've never told anyone else in my life. I think you're effing disgusting." He calls Beast disgusting. The Watcher's like, "I've seen a lot of things, Beast. You're the worst one," and that is choice.
I always really like it when like an event's happening and the Watcher shows up and they're like, "Oh no,
shit."
They're all collectively like, "Oh shit! If he's here, that means something. If he's here, that means something's really going down."
It's like it's like Kami in Dragon Ball Z just showing up. It's
oh
god damn it, Kami.
The only time I remember that happened where the Watcher shows up is in Civil War, like in the prelude of Civil War, and then there's like, "Hey," like Spider-Man's like, "Who's this big bald guy?" He's like, "Oh, we're screwed. This is not good."
It happens in Hickman's Fantastic Four run too. It just shows up and they're just like, "God damn it! What are you doing here?"
What did we do this time? Come on.
I'm watching.
Show's great. Excited for next week. I'm glad they're on Wednesday.
God, I want a story about the Watcher just like following somebody inane, not a major player, just like for a whole day, but they're aware enough that he's the Watcher, and they're just like constantly like every decision they're petrified because he's just there. And then something happens, but it's still not major, and the Watcher disappears. And he's like,
That was it. Was that it?
Did I do it? Did I disappoint you? What?
Like he just gives like a little. The watcher gives like a little smile and then disappears. Like,
Uh-huh.
is that good? Is that bad? Oh God. Oh, Jeffrey Wright's gonna be the watcher. That's gonna be great.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking of that Thanos comic.
That's what I was thinking of. The Thanos comic.
where Thanos just shows up in that kid's life randomly.
He, like takes his goldfish.
It's that exact same tone, but with the Watcher.
I forgot about that comic. That is one of the best comics I've ever read.
Yeah.
Just
Where
Thanos
Thanos
screwing with this guy's
no
life.
reason wrecks this guy's life intermittently. Imagine just one day of the Watcher watching a dude who understands what it means when he's there, and just like constantly terrified.
He's like going to go pick like between two donuts, and he looks at the watcher, and he goes to the left. The watcher's like,
He's like,
There's
Write
a panel.
this comic.
There's the panel with Thanos where he gets fired, and Thanos is like, "Hey," he's like picking over the cubicle. He's like, "Hey, happy birthday!" It's like, "Did you do this?"
I know this isn't the right character because this character wouldn't understand the Watcher, but I keep picturing the Shocker.
that's even better. This bald dude just keeps staring at him, and he's like, "What's going on? He's not even talking to me." He's like doing his laundry, and the Watcher's just like,
But it's so bad.
Poor Herman
can you
Schultz.
imagine like the Watcher standing there? He's staring at him. He's like, he doesn't separate his whites from his colors. And he runs it hot.
Disgusting.
No, he doesn't even do that. He just see him put a sock in, and the watcher's like,
Yeah, exactly. And Herman's like, why?
"Why are you doing this?"
He's pouring detergent, and the Watcher's like, "Is that environmentally friendly?"
Oh my god.
Ah, Latu!
Oh my god. I want a Disney Plus episode where the Watcher's just watching somebody.
It's an animated show. Yeah.
Oh, crap.
All right.
That would be
Anyway,
Loki's
Loki.
really cool.
That would be a perfect season finale for the What If, where it's like the Watcher's day off, and he's just like watching this dude. He's like,
God.
There
It's
was
like the most boring episode.
there was Earth 65, his watcher. Go ahead, Sparks. You want to say this one really bad?
I was gonna say just because the Watcher's watching all these alternate worlds, and one of the ones he watches is just the world where Peter Quill didn't leave Earth, and he's just a regular freaking dude, and that dude is so confused.
He's like,
and it's
I keep
revealed
waiting for this kid to grow up.
it's revealed at the end that it was Peter Quill.
Yeah,
And the because the whole time you're watching this, why is the Watcher watching this dude? And it's like it was Peter Quill the whole time.
yeah.
He's gonna grow up to be an important man.
The Earth 65's Watcher got bored watching Earth 65 for a while, and so he popped over to Earth 617 and bothered their Watcher. And they were watching the way they watch is they watch TV in a living room. It's kind of funny.
That makes sense. It's like Rick and Morty.
I was
TV.
just about to say, like, 3 of the things you guys talked about earlier today were like Rick and Morty episodes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Man. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
All right.
Excited for more.
It's
This
nice
is-
to have more Tom Hiddleston. I like that they are still exploring avenues of Loki's character, because this is definitely one of the characters who has not been super well served at all times.
Must be in Loki.
Yeah, I probably will agree with that one. All right, let's get out of here. What do you say?
Yes.
Okay, bye.
All right, so guys, hello. Welcome to Fake Nerds Watch. We're talking about Loki today. Wait a second, that's the beginning. I should be doing
This
the
is our-
end.
Groundhog Day.
We are going to be doing every episode of Loki, so stay tuned for next week's episode. Fake Nerds Watch is back, and it will continue to be back until there are no more episodes of Loki. And then we'll probably do something else.
And then What If will come out sometime shortly after.
Yes. So stay tuned for all of that fun stuff. But you can check out our other shows, such as make sure to like this video. By the way, like it, push that like button. I can see you. Push it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Push it.
And you can check out our other podcasts, such on this channel if you subscribe, or if you don't, it doesn't really matter. But we have Basement Arcade, which is our Let's Play series.
No, hold on, Brandon. It does matter because you just told everyone to like it, but you also got to subscribe.
Okay, well, subscribe, but you can also check out the other things even if you don't. But we just like you to subscribe.
That'd be nice.
It's not like it's locked or anything. I don't know what this riff is. Basement Arcade pause menu is also there. There's an episode of Basement Arcade pause menu out with the you guys talk about E3. E3 has already passed by the time you've watched this, but hey, watch that episode anyway.
Actually, it's going until next week, so bing bong.
Yeah, but this isn't coming out till like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, E3 is going until Tuesday.
Yeah, E3 is.
I was just going to throw this up tomorrow, but
No, now you got to make it on Tuesday.
I guess it's on Tuesday.
Hot dog.
No, I guess you're doing it Sunday. Whatever, I don't care. And then Fake Nerds Book Club, we have that should be coming back eventually, probably this month. But that's on a bit of a hiatus right now. And you can check out my show Conversation, and you can check out our new show, our freshman podcast, Animation Station. Sparks has finally launched Animation
Not like
Station.
you.
Yes, I did.
Look at that. You and we talked about Adventure Time Distant Lands BMO.
I did it. I'll see you all in episode 2 in 6 months.
But there it is. That is Animation Station. It is up now. We also just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. If you're watching this, then it has passed because we were recording it on the day.
I think the live airing of it is ending while we're recording this in 3 minutes.
Because that's 4 hours long.
Yeah.
I wanted to show it to Zara, but she didn't want to watch a 4-hour podcast, and I cried. But it's fine. You can check out our
in pieces.
That's what I said. But you can check out our 5th anniversary special. It was an incredible achievement. I cannot believe we're here. We're 5 years into this podcast, into this podcast network, into this podcast series, into the podcast family, whatever you want to say. Fake Nerd family is here to stay. And our 5th anniversary is up now. Please check it out. It's a lot of fun. Sparks stayed up tirelessly making the game and editing the episode, and we couldn't be more appreciative of it.
True. All those things are true.
And check that out. Of course, we just did, unless you put this up on Sunday, in which case we're doing, but I don't really care. We're going to do an episode, or we did an episode on, what are we doing? Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth. We are comparing the Sweet Tooth comic to the new Netflix show. I believe we're talking about the first 2 or 3 episodes of that show. I don't think we'll go much further.
Yeah, however much, people have watched. So.
Yeah, and then of course the comic book was just the first volume, Out of the Deep Woods. We'll be comparing those two, how they stack up, what do we like from what. If you've seen the show, we've done this before. We love doing it. It's a lot of fun. So check those out. That's that. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Okay. You can find us all on Fake Nerd Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben?
You can find me not giving a rat's ass about this timeline at BenMac27 on Instagram and Twitter.
That's sad. You live in this timeline, Sparks.
You can find me making a mad scramble when we record our next episode of Fake Nerds Watch about Loki, because we're going to do it real quick. At Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
And Ryan.
DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
All right, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. And until next time you see us, stay fake nerds.
Glorious purpose.